Madam Chair, Commissioners, Lead Counsel, Assistant Counsel, viewers and listeners out there, good morning and welcome to our daily proceedings of this Commission of Inquiry into Local Government Councils and related matters. For our next item on the agenda, I have the honor to yield the floor to Madam Chair. Madam Chair, over to you.
Auzubillahi minash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. May I now call on Honorable Sila to lead us in Muslim prayers and Honorable Joyner to lead us in Christian prayers. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يأتون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يعوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما بحرمة اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق نازل الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره عظيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, please be in our midst as we come together as your body to lift up our country and our leaders. Please protect our country from the divisions that challenges our ability to live lives pleasing to you. Defend the vulnerable and voiceless, and bring justice to those who suffered injustice. This we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you so much. Registrar, can you please call the witness?
Good morning, Mr. Witness. Please kindly sit down. Mr. Witness, as a matter of routine, I'm obliged to remind you of the oath you took to make testimonies before this commission. On that note, I wish to remind you that you are still under oath for continuation of your testimonies. Madam Chair, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Tamura.
Good morning, Chair.
We are happy to have you back.
Thank you.
Council, can we proceed, please? Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Commissioners. Welcome.
I requested that Mr. Sanyang avails us with the forms. He gave us the last time the names of the forms and what they entail as per what you make reference to in your various reports. The ones he availed us, the reference in terms of the regulations were wrong. So he said he was going to send it back to the office for them to do a review, and so that we can get the correct form referencing the correct regulation as per, the regulations we have. Since you have not gazetted the regulations you have done pursuant to the new Act of 2022. Yes.
Yes, Council. I'm sure he's working on the form, and when he's here in the afternoon, he should be able to bring it.
Okay.
But I also work on the assignment you gave me yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think you wanted me to try to avail the commission the evaluation report for the BCC dustbins.
Yes.
I've confirmed with our records, but according to them, like all the records are submitted here. So, but we have already discussed that yesterday, that the evaluation report is not seen. So, according to them, it's not at their end, the evaluation report. That's for the dustbin. As regards the response to the letter, yesterday there was a particular letter that highlighted certain anomalies.
Yes, that is the one dated the 17th.
Yes.
Yes.
So you were asking whether there was a response to the letter.
Yes.
So even if there was a response, because after checking, as we speak presently, there is nothing on council at the authorities level. Everything is submitted here. So even if there is a response, the response should have been in this particular file. But yesterday when we checked, we could not trace it. So finally, Commissioner File also wanted the variance as regards the two procurements of the dustbins. Exactly. So just as I said, if there are any variants, they should be in the files here.
Yes, the council will take us through for us to verify and know whether they are in the file or not. So thank you for the clarification and the fact that we cannot see the valuation reports and things like that. And this is why I ask that sometimes, is it possible for them to write to you without actually submitting those documents to you? Because it's possible.
Yeah, we have seen a very strange case yesterday.
Yes. So that is a possibility, because if you write and you did not submit, and it's not in the file that is given to us, and you cannot find, any copy at your office level, then there's no report. Well, maybe we could be wrong. The PO might have copies, but when they come in, we will ask them. If they have copies, they can avail the commission.
Okay, Chair.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Tambura.
Yes, Council, morning.
That is the file we were dealing with yesterday regarding BCC with respect to the procurement of 3,000 dustbins.
Okay, Council.
At a total amount of $13,800,000.
Okay, Council.
Yes, so if you, may I just refer you to the minute sheet. On the first page, you will see the correspondences from BCC and with GPPA regarding documents that would have been either submitted through the form of applications or otherwise. Do you see it?
Yes, Council.
Now check the folio 15. It should be on the first document in the file with respect to the submission of the bid of Keba and Sons. Do you see it?
Yes, from the minute, just from BCC.
Yes.
Yes, that's invitation to bid opening. Is it that one?
Bid opening. After which you have what?
That's BC request for technical expertise advice.
Before that, you have the submission of the bid.
Okay. So I have submission of approval of evaluation report.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, the first document in the file, what is that document about?
You mean according to the minute sheet here?
Yes. No, according to the documents as they are arranged in the file. It is marked number 15. It is the first document you have when you open the file.
On top of the file?
Yes.
Yes, that's, the heading is invitation, dated 11 February 2019.
Okay. How about the one dated the 14th of February 2019?
Yeah, that's also
What is that about?
a letter from Keba, Keba and Sons, sorry.
Is it a letter or is it the bid submission from Keba and Sons?
Yeah, the caption is tender for the supply of dust bins.
Yes.
Addressed to the CEO, BCC.
So that is the tender from Keba and Sons.
Yes, dated 14 February 2019.
Yes. Please tell us about that that tender.
According to the letter here from Keba and Sons,
Yes.
dated 14 February, this is a response to an invitation to tender or
Yes.
an invitation to bid. So basically, he's making submissions to BCC in response to the request to make.
How many dustbins?
The quantity here is 3,000.
The amount, the total amount?
$12 million.
That is the, if you include the VAT there,
Yeah, the VAT is 1,800,000.
so the total amount is how much?
13,800 VAT inclusive.
13,800,000.
Yes, 13,800,000 VAT inclusive.
So do you see in the minute sheet any other submission of tender by the other two suppliers that were mentioned by BCC?
It is not here. It is not here on the minute sheet.
So the only one we have is from Keba and Sons.
Yes, but let me just clarify here.
Yes.
Like, this Keba and Sons wasn't addressed to our office. The address, if you check, the Keba and Sons is an attachment
Yes.
to a letter from BCC.
Yes.
So, like, it was BCC writing to our office
Yes.
and attach submission from Keba and Son.
I understand.
Yeah.
My take is you don't have any other attachment in relation to any other supplier apart from Keba and Sons.
From the minute sheet here, there is none.
Exactly, and in the file also there is none as well.
Yes, so there is
none. But then the contract eventually was awarded to Keba and Sons.
So, Council.
Will that be a very standard procedure, where you only have one supplier who you are notified, GPPA, that there's only one supplier in this situation? So what would you normally do? Would that provide a very open tendering process or bidding process?
Normally, yesterday I made some little clarification. I
Yes.
said, normally, if bidders are invited, all the bidders are supposed to make submission to the institution.
Yes.
All the bidders are supposed to make submission to the institutions. And once they made submission, if evaluation report is done, the evaluation report comes with the submission from the various bidders. That's the ideal situation. So here, I don't even want to speak for BCC, but under normal circumstances, if it is evaluation, all submissions should be submitted to the authority.
Exactly, but then that is not the case.
So the case here, it is as if BCC attached Keba's and Son's submission as an attachment and submitted to our office.
And yet still it was approved.
Yes, Council.
And that is wrong.
As I said, I'm not sure whether they submitted all the bidding documents.
No, we can only deal with what we have before us.
That's wrong, Council.
Yes, exactly. That's totally wrong. Now, coming to the combined technical specifications and bid compliance.
Yes.
We were talking about the issue of KMC. Do you have the one for KMC with respect to the dustbins? You were asked to bring it today.
Maybe, was it Sanyang or? No?
Was it?
Maybe Sanyang. I'm not aware of that.
Yes, both of you guys work together. So we thought you will bring it.
No, it wasn't brought to my attention, Council.
Okay.
But Sanyang is coming in the afternoon.
Right. So we'll now deal with that when he comes in the afternoon, perhaps.
Sorry, he's coming.
Now, my other line of questioning is with respect to this type of dustbins. Are you familiar, when you look at the specifications, are you familiar with this type of dustbins? You can see it on the first document that Keba and Sons submitted.
The specifications normally are accompanied by samples, so the sample guides us a lot.
Do you have samples there?
From the submission here, I did not see the samples.
But then, just for a better understanding, if you look at the combined technical specifications, the type of wheelie bins to be provided must be 100% plastic, standard color, black, 1,000 nature green, 1,000 and blue, 1,000 for the 3 constituencies, right? Yes. So you also, the type of wheelie bins to be provided must be equivalent to 360 liters, yes. Length, 770 millimeters, width 680 millimeters, and height 1,100 millimeters. So I'm sure you are familiar with the dustbins that have been discussed here.
Yes, I may not be familiar with the exact dustbins. That's why at institutional levels, we emphasized before that you have the receipt and examination committee. And at this stage, their role is very significant here.
No, the receipt and examination committee will come after the goods are being supplied. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, we are talking about the approval stage right now.
Yes.
So what you said earlier on will make sense in relation to having pictures to know what, or samples,
exactly, yeah.
what is being referred to here. But you don't have that, and then we have really jumped the gun in the sense that this particular application had already been granted, yes, regardless of the deficiencies in the application.
Yes.
So then, on what circumstance would any person approve this type of application regarding all the insufficient information when it is supposed to be, let's say, the more ideal method would have been for an open tender? Is that not the case?
Yes, I think exactly. That's what we said yesterday, and exactly, it's an emphatic yes.
So it should not have been approved.
With the records before us here, the fact that the evaluation report is missing, that's fundamental. There is no way.
Even in the absence of the evaluation report, what would have been the best method of procurement in this, with this particular procurement, where you, for the dustbins, 3,000 dustbins, 13,800,000, what would have been the best method of procurement?
Natural is open tender.
Open tender. All right. Thank you very much. Honorable Chairperson and Commissioners, that is bring us to the end of the deliberation for the dustbins.
Thank you very much, Council. Mr. Tambura.
Tambura, yes.
Sorry for the wrong pronunciation of your last name. I deeply apologize.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
The quotation from Keba and Sons, it was 12 million plus another 1 million for VAT.
Yes.
1 million plus for VAT.
Yes.
Now,
Yes,
are you aware that the VAT was paid or not paid?
No, Commissioner, we are not aware.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Mr. Tamara, in most of the files that we have perused, both for KMC and for BCC, we have noted in the files that there is no reference made, or there is no information contained in the files to indicate that withholding tax was paid. So, but is that part of what you look for in the files?
Normally, issues of tax, withholding, VAT, etc., is not normally very central. We are more concerned strictly about the procurement issues. Yeah, strictly. That's our main concentration.
Yes.
But some institutions, in the process, they will always indicate that your bids or your quotation should be tax inclusive or not tax inclusive. So that's the prerogative of the
Yes, but is it a standard practice that in all transactions for POs, is it normally contained in the bidding documents that they are reminded of the fact that they should pay withholding tax or VAT?
Yes, most of the time.
Provided for in there.
If you check the bidding document, it's just a template. So
Yes, that is what I'm saying. I
yes,
understand it's a template. So it entails all the basic fundamental requirements.
exactly.
Yes. So does it contain this issue of VAT and withholding tax?
Yeah, it contains taxes.
Yeah.
So normally, as an institution, you can either circle that you want the quotation to be tax inclusive or not to be tax inclusive.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but you don't specifically check on that?
No.
Yes, madam.
Good morning, Mr. Tamura.
Yes, Commissioner.
How does the authority handle complaints or reports of favorism or corruption?
Complaints. Most of the time, if there are complaints, we always ask the complainant to redirect his or her complaint to the Independent Complaints Review Board. That's the body charged with the responsibility of anything relating to complaints. There is an Independent Complaints Review Board tasked with the responsibility for handling all complaints germane to procurements. If we see any complaints or we receive any complaints, normally we ask them to redirect the complaints to that board.
And have you ever received any complaint? And what did you do as an authority?
Yes, we have received complaints generally. Sometimes the complaints are directed to us as an institution. Most of the time, the discovery is those complainants are not even aware of the existence of that board. So we ask them to redirect. All that we do, we ask them to redirect. Well, most of the complaints, we are just copied, addressed to the board, and we are copied.
A follow-up question to Commissioner Sanya's question. Have you ever received a conclusive report about a complaint that was sent to you and you redirected it to the Independent Complaints Board.
Yes, Commissioner.
And what is the outcome?
No, the complaint review boards, they have their own way of operation, and when conclusions are reached at the board, most of the time we are copied so that we are aware of the conclusions reached at the complaint review board, and normally GVA do not have any hand in that.
Yes, Mr. Sanyang, I have noted, sorry, Mr. Tamura, excuse me because Mr. Sanyang has been here for a while. I have noted, we have noted that the GPPA routing slip, the ones we have perused, did not indicate, as you have given evidence, the Director General's signature, or not signature actually, his authorization of actually approving or disapproving of requests being made. What we have noted is that in the routing slip, these are directed to particular officers for action. So can you explain to us?
If requests are submitted to the authority, requests or any other issues about procurement, it goes to the Director General, and I guess that's the routine slip we are talking about.
Yes.
So he ministers it to the action officers, sometimes to the directors directly, sometimes to the action officers, depending on what he thinks is more appropriate, for example. But that's the first instance. In this case, it is the first instance. Then the action officer will act on the file, then send it back to the Director General via the directors with his observations, comments, whatever. So it goes to the Director General, and the Director General goes over it. Sometimes the conclusion of the action officer are endorsed by the Director General. Sometimes the conclusions are rejected. Sometimes comments are made. Sometimes the Director General acts as he thinks appropriate. But it goes to the Director General, then back to the action officer via the directors. So, but finally, whatever the case may be, whether approve, disapprove, comments or conditions, it has to be okayed by the Director General. That's
But you will agree with me that the second part of what you are saying is not contained in the routing slip.
no, normally it is not contained here.
Okay.
It is not part of our.
I just want to be clear because
okay,
we have
yeah.
asked the question yesterday.
Yes, exactly.
And you have explicitly explained
Exactly.
that it is the Director General that approves.
Yes.
So having looked at as a commission, having looked at the routine slips based on the files that you have submitted, we just noted what I have just said.
Yes, exactly.
And we've not seen anywhere where the Director General has said this particular procurement, I'm giving my approval.
Yeah. Normally,
So now that you are giving
excellent.
that there is a second part
Exactly.
which we are not privy to, because what we are privy to, that is why I am putting it to you. Thank you. Council? Council Gomez?
I will hand over to my lead counsel. I am done with BCC.
Thank you. Morning, Commissioners and Mr. Tambura. Assistant Registrar, please assist me with this. This is Basse Area Council GPPA file 1 of 2020. Now, Mr. Tambur, this is a procurement in respect of a vehicle for Basse Area Council. Is that correct?
Yes, lead council.
Sorry, lead counsel, may I be guided as to which of
Basse
the file?
Area Council File 1 of 2020.
All right, thank you.
Now, can you tell us if there's any special procurement procedures for used goods?
Sorry, council.
Can you tell us whether there are any special procurement procedures or considerations where the procurement is in respect of used goods? Or used goods, used items? Or would they fall under the same procurement procedures and have the same considerations as regular procurement?
With the current law, 2022 Act, there is a provision, I may not be able to remember the exact section, but there's a provision for use goods. There's a provision for use goods, but the provision is a little bit scanty, but it makes provisions that the procedures to follow should be indicated in details in the regulation.
Should be what, sir?
According to the law, the Act, the Act make provisions that used item can be procured, but the detail of which should be indicated in the regulation.
Okay, but there's no provision like that in the 2014 Act.
No, council.
Okay, so the one in the 2022 Act just says second-hand goods may be procured under conditions specified in the regulations.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are there any such provisions in the regulation?
No, as we said, the regulation is still in the making.
Okay. So we would assume that it is the same procedures and considerations that would be used for regular procurement right now.
So, council.
Yeah? So let me refer you to the forms, the declaration forms 012. I think they should be at the back of the file.
Yes, I've seen it.
Okay, so there's one there's one that has Mohammed Jaune's name. Have you seen that one? They've typed in his name on the blank spot at the top.
Yes, Mohammed Jaune.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's correct that there's no signature at the bottom?
Yes, that's correct.
There should be, and it's supposed to be signed, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
There should be another, I'm not sure, but can you just confirm that there's another declaration form in that file?
I only saw one. I only saw one here. Lead counsel, I only saw one.
Only one? Okay.
Yes.
And it's the one that's not signed.
Exactly.
And it should be, there should be enough for each member of the contracts committee, is that right?
Yes, no, in practice, normally, each member can sign a declaration, but normally we don't have any objection if one sheet is signed by different members. We have all the names listed and then everybody signs.
But in this case, you only have one sheet and it's not signed.
Yes, and
it's only one name.
Exactly.
Okay. So what happens when when a procurement comes to your office and there's no declaration to say that there's no conflict of interest?
Yes, in fact, the declaration is just to ascertain that there is no conflict of interest. And if there is no need for the declaration, or if there is no potential conflict of interest, most of the time, they don't sign the declaration.
So are you saying that the signature of the declaration is optional?
I'm just trying to emphasize the purpose of as far as we are concerned, the purpose of the declaration is to indicate whether there is conflict of interest or not. Yes. So that is why most of the time, if there is no such scenario, some others opt not to fill the declaration. But our recommendation and our advice is always to sign the declaration. I just want to be...
I understand what you're saying, but that's why I want to know, is your position that if they sign it, it's a bonus? If they don't sign it, it doesn't matter to your office?
I wouldn't want to make that conclusion.
So, because the point is that it's either that it's a necessary form or it's not a necessary form.
It's a necessary form.
Okay, so where it's not provided,
yes,
does anything happen? Does your authority do anything about it?
Yes, no, that's what I said. We always advise them to sign the declaration. Let's take it, it is a necessary form and it should be signed.
So if it's a necessary form and it should be signed, is there any penalty or any sanction or reprimand or anything for not signing it? That if it's a necessary form, then it means that it should be there.
Yes.
But you're now saying that if some can sign, some can choose not to sign. So that's what those two answers don't really go together.
Yeah.
So I need to know, if it's necessary, is there any implication if it is not provided?
The declaration, if you look at the content very well, you'll realize that those who sit to discuss procurement issues, we expect them to sign it to indicate that they are not conflicted in that particular procurement. To indicate that they are not conflicted in that particular procurement. So it means once they sit to discuss, the expectation is they should sign because they are discussing and they are telling everybody that they are not conflicted.
So they can choose not to sign it?
No, once they sit to discuss the procurement, those that sit to discuss the procurement should sign to indicate that they are not conflicted. But like those that are conflicted, most of the time they don't sign it because they recuse themselves. They don't even participate.
So let me just, so in this case, so your contracts committee is supposed to be,
we'll sit a while and allow the registrar to check whether they can put up the generator, because we wouldn't know whether it's NAWEC or generator that was on. So please bear with us. just been informed by the technician that when there is serious thunderstorm, it will affect the machines. But let us try on. If it persists, we may have to rise. All right. Lead counsel, can you please continue?
Thank you. Mr. Tambura?
Yes.
May I just refer you to another file? It says BAC, Brikama Area Council File 1 of 2020. And it's in respect of a letter dated 22nd July 2020. Have you seen the letter?
Yes, lead counsel.
Can you just read the contents of the letter?
Caption: request for approval for choice of procurement method and the bidding document. Then the references dated 17 July. Please be informed that the authority cannot grant approval of your request at this stage due to the following reasons. 1. Absence of the pre-qualified bidders. 2. Absence of GPPA form 100, that's the requisition. 3. Absence of GPPA form 012, that's declaration made by members of the contracts committee. 4. They are asked to amend the dates in the invitation to bid to reconcile with the dates in clauses 18 to 22 of the bidding document.
Okay, so that's fine.
Thank you.
Assistant Registrar, can I get the file back? So in that letter, you refused to approve a procurement. And one of the reasons why you refused was because the form 012, which is the declaration form, was not signed. Is that correct?
Yes, lead counsel.
So how do you reconcile that with your evidence now that some may sign and some may not sign?
Okay, like what I said shortly before the light went off, I said the contracts committee, if they sit, if you sit as a member of the contracts committee, you have to sign the declaration. But if you are conflicted, you recuse yourself. That's what I last said. You recuse yourself. You don't sit as a member of the contracts committee, and in that case, you don't need to sign anything. Though you are a member of the contracts committee, but because you are conflicted, you don't participate in the proceedings, so you recuse yourself.
Now, it's right that if you're a member of the contracts committee and you're conflicted, you cannot sit on those deliberations.
You should not sit on those deliberations.
And somebody else should replace you.
If there is any need for replacement.
So, that is if you don't make up the number. So what's the minimum number for the contracts committee? It's three. So if there are less than 3 members, one would expect that one would be replaced, and then there would be enough forms, enough declaration forms for the people that are remaining.
Perfect.
So now in this case, you have one form.
Only one form.
And it's unsigned.
Unsigned, yes.
So that would mean either there's only one person on the committee that is not conflicted, and you can't even tell because he hasn't signed.
Yes.
Or all of them are conflicted, so they can't sit on it and nobody is signed.
In fact, if you go by the minutes.
By the what, sir?
The minutes of this contracts committee, you will realize that all these were in attendance, and they should have signed.
And they what, sir?
They should have signed the declaration.
So we go back to my earlier question, which was what happens when you don't have the declaration forms? Is there any sanction or any penalty, or what does your authority do?
Normally, if it is not signed by the members here and they are in attendance, normally we highlight it as an anomaly. And
so what about in the case of the Brikama Area Council one that you just read, where you refused to approve because it wasn't provided?
Exactly. That's the normal procedure. Normally, there should have been a highlight to indicate the anomaly and ask them to correct the anomaly before consideration is given.
But this is something that you did not do in this.
Yes, it's not done
So
here.
is there a reason why you have inconsistent procedures or inconsistent treatments to different procurements at your authority?
Yes, it's very obvious here.
It's very what, sorry?
Obvious here, especially comparing it to the file we have just reviewed.
So is there no system? I think one of the commissioners, or two of the commissioners have asked this before. Is there not a checklist that your staff can go through so that there's no, it doesn't look like one procurement or one procuring organization is given favor over another, because the idea is that there's uniformity across the board. So is there any particular consideration or any checklist that everybody needs to go through to determine whether to grant an approval or not, or is it discretionary?
No, there is a checklist.
Okay.
There's a checklist, yeah.
Is this something that you have in document form?
It should be available at the office, because it's a design template that action officers normally check to confirm what is missing, what is not missing.
Okay, can you provide us with a copy of that template so that we can...
Yes, we can avail that to the commission.
All right, thank you. Now, let me refer you to the Form 100. Let me know when you've located it.
Okay, Council. For 100, you mean?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you found it?
Yes, I've seen it.
Okay. So this is the requisition form.
Yes.
And they have indicated that they're requesting for the purchase of a reconditioned vehicle, pickup Toyota Hilux, for the council uses. And they have stated the quantity, the estimated unit cost is $850,000.
Yes.
Now, they have not indicated whether, they have not indicated that there are funds available.
The availability of funds?
They didn't tick any box, is that right?
Except if you check the confirmation of funding by the Director of Finance.
So before we get to the confirmation of funding, is it required to tick a box?
Which box specifically?
Funds availability confirmed.
Okay. Yeah, normally you are required to tick a box.
And if you tick the box, it will indicate whether you have the funds for the procurement or not.
Yeah, that's why it is here this way.
So what happens if they don't tick it?
Normally, it should be ticked.
Yes, but we've come across so many of the
it should
Form
be
100s that have been sent to your office that are not ticked.
Yes, normally it should be ticked. I want that to be understood. However, in the event of it is ticked or not, most of the time the action officers concentrate on the other part, where the finance director himself signs to confirm availability. But it should be ticked, that one.
But if he hasn't ticked anything, then what is he confirming? He's only signing. You're signing to indicate that the things that you have put or indicated in the form are correct. So if you haven't indicated that there's funds available and you sign, that does not, you're not saying that there's funds available.
If you check at the heading of the heading above the finance director's comment, signature, that's confirmation of funding.
So you see that after that confirmation of funding, there's a footnote 2. Do you see that?
That's approval.
The bit that you're talking about, where the budget officer signs. It says confirmation of funding, and there's a small number 2 on top.
On top of the confirmation of funding?
Yes, inside that column. Do you see the little number 2? Have you seen where the Director of Finance signed?
Yes, I've seen that.
Now, right on top of that is his name.
Yes.
Right on top of that says confirmation of funding.
Exactly.
And there's a footnote, number 2.
Yes, yes.
Now you look at the footnote at the bottom. The explanation is there, and it says funds are available or budgeted,
yes.
stroke, not available for the requirement.
Yes, I've seen that.
So he's signing that they're either available or they're not available. But since he hasn't indicated, how do you know what he's signing?
Yeah, that's why I said it should be ticked. That one is okay. It should be ticked.
It just, yeah.
Seem to be giving us, based on our understanding, you seem to be giving us conflicting evidence, because what I'm understanding is that Council is trying to draw your attention to the fact that for everything that is put in the form, but before I even proceed, for everything that is put in the form, do you think it is necessary?
Yes, Chair, it is necessary. That's why it is here.
So if it is necessary, why do people have to have an option of doing one thing or not doing another?
No, what I said it should be ticked.
It should be signed.
Yeah, it should be signed. Yeah,
it's
that's
must, it is a must.
It's a must. It's not optional.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
thank you. Council, you may proceed.
Thank you. So I was going to really say something on that, because you have instances where you refuse approval based on, forms that are not provided or documents that are not provided or things like that. So in those instances, you send it back and they do what they're supposed to do and they send it back to your office.
Yes.
Now, you have a lot of Form 100s that are not completed properly. And I have not seen one where you have written back to the procuring organization to say, your form is not properly completed, can you complete it? Due to these things. I mean, there's some that would have some other reason maybe, but you didn't indicate the availability of funds. You didn't indicate whether there was a procurement plan or not. You don't do that. So is there a reason why you don't do that?
There shouldn't be any reason, because once it is not properly administered field, the issues should be highlighted. That's the right thing to do.
Let me refer you to Form 101. Oh, sorry.
Council, before you proceed to
yes,
Form 1,
sure.
the Form 100, if you look at the bottom line, where it indicated that person who develops statement of requirements, if different from originating officer, then the column further indicated name and designation. Can you explain to us what is the significance of putting the name of the person who developed the statements of requirements? And what do they mean here by statement of requirements?
Sorry. Normally, if requests are made, whether internally or externally, the request is expected to come with requirements, whether specifications as requirements, whether delivery timelines as requirements, standards, quality, whatever. Those are the requirements it's referring to. There are instances when the person who is making the request, in his or her request, he will also include all the requirements. But sometimes the one making the request may not have the wherewithal to provide these requirements. So that may be assigned to a different somebody. So if it is assigned to a different somebody, that different somebody's information should be captured here.
So now, this will take me to the next question.
Okay.
Form 100 is supposed to be the requisition form, right?
Yes.
So the requisition form is supposed to be signed based on the evidence we have gotten as a commission from you as technician.
Okay.
Is the SPU or from the finance department, right? Can you clarify that? Does it come from, because this is the requisition, does it come from the the person that is seeking for that particular product or service or good in the PO's setup? Does it normally come from the finance unit or from the different units that are making that requisition?
During the first week of my testimony, I said something like this, because there are certain things are internal arrangements. Some institutions, even in our office, for example, all requisitions, just to request, ordinary requisition, comes from the admin department, addressed to the Director General. But once the Director General...
No, we are talking about the POs now. We are not talking about...
Not our office.
Yes.
This is a generality.
Yes.
So, when it is addressed to the head of the institution, he minutes that requisition, which is a kind of an internal memo.
Yes.
And it goes direct to the SPU, the procurement unit.
So now,
yes.
Hold it. Now, is it correct here for the CEO to be the person who develops statements of requirements?
No, that cannot be. That's not a...
So this is not correct. If it has to come from the admin and goes to the supposedly CEO or executive director, would it not have been appropriate for that person's name to be here than the CEO?
Yes, because here...
So in other words, this is not correct based on procurement rules?
It's not correct, because the CEO is expected to do the approvals.
Okay. So we have noted in all of your forms 100, most of the time it is the CEO that would put in his name, which is wrong. Just you have told us now that it is wrong, because procurement rules prohibit that. It has to originate somewhere.
Yes.
You understand? And then
addressed to the CEO.
Addressed to the CEO and is now sent to the required unit.
Exactly.
And those are the people.
Exactly.
The required unit is...
to administer
the
form.
The head of that unit should sign here.
Exactly.
So which means all these forms they were attaching, most of them, in essence, are wrong in the details that they put in, most of it.
Yes.
Thank you. Lead counsel, you may proceed.
Thank you. So, Mr. Tumber, I was referring you to the Form 101.
101, okay. Yes, lead counsel.
Now that's the request for quotation form, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So they're saying that, let me just, before that, this form, is it prepared before they send to you to ask for approval? Or do they ask for approval for the method first and then send the forms?
According to the law, anything that is 1 million and above should be sent to the authority at every stage of the procurement proceedings. So therefore, even the procurement method is seen as a stage of the procurement proceedings. So that's why if you are using this form and the amount involved is above a million and above, you should send it to the authority, seek approval for the method first before you can even proceed. That's the ideal situation.
Okay. Now, let's just go through the form for now.
Okay.
So the form is dated the 16th of October, 2020, and it is for the purchase of a vehicle. And they have said who completes this form, this portion of the form, where it has item description, unit of measures, etc. Is that the bidder?
No.
This form is completed by the procuring organization?
The form, if you check it properly, is divided into two parts.
Yes.
There's the part on the left is for the procuring organization, and the part on the right is for the bidder.
Left and right?
Let's say the item description, that's what I mean by left here.
The item description, you're saying is for whom?
For the procuring organization.
And then the one at the bottom?
Then no, I mean the other part, the same row, the other part. Because if you check it, let's say from the item description, the quantity required, these are things known to the institution. So,
okay.
Yeah, plus the evaluation criteria.
Okay.
Then thereafter, you have the portion for the bidder.
So that's it. Where's the portion for the bidder? Because there's evaluation criteria, which you said is for
Yes.
the procuring organization.
That's
There's unit price.
That's why it stopped for the procuring organization. Stop at the
So
evaluation
from
criteria.
unit price going on is for the
For the bidder.
for the bidder.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in this, I would assume that it's the contracts committee that's supposed to review this form.
Yes, normally, it's normally administered by the head of the SPU, the procurement unit, but of course reviewed and approved by the contracts committee.
So here you have, it is signed by Mohamed Jaune, POs, I think that's procurement officer.
Officer, yes.
And then Babukar M.J. Kinte or Minte,
Something
acting director of finance.
Yes.
Is that sufficient?
The contracts committee minimum is 3.
3. So it requires one more signature?
At least one additional signature, yes.
Yes, whilst he is looking at, on the left-hand side, I noticed that there is a supplier's signature, and there is date, and there is no stamp. So when this form is filled, the supplier is invited to sign on this form, right?
Yes, because here, this form, the first part, if it is already administered by the institution,
Yes.
you are, because in fact, this is what that's why it's called request for quotation. This is the communication mechanism tool between the institution and the bidders. You state your requirement, everything, and you give it to the bidders to respond. So once the bidder respond,
And at this stage, they have not yet sought approval, or they would have already been given approval as to the type of procurement process they need to
Yes.
use.
depending.
Since you are telling me this is internal first, is this form filled before your approval for the process or after your approval of the process?
Yes, that's what I have just said. It depends on the amount involved now.
Yes.
If the amount involved
It's
is
below the threshold.
threshold,
Yes.
it means they can do their things internally before submission to the authority for approval. But once it is above the threshold, $1 billion, it means even the method, the procedure, the process itself has to be approved before they can even communicate to the suppliers.
So if there are anomalies, when do you normally detect that there are anomalies in the process? Even whereas it is below the threshold, because we have seen in the files,
Yes.
procurements are split to avoid getting to the threshold.
Threshold, yes.
So how do you do that? How do you
Most of
how
it
do
is-
you detect, or how do you correct some of this?
Yes. If the submission are made to the authority, if submitted, that's the essence of the review process, to see whether there are anomalies, and if there are anomalies, it is highlighted.
That is post-review. That will be post-review,
That's
right?
the prior one. If,
No,
if
that would, we are talking about a situation where it is below threshold. Now I am asking, how would you be able to know whether the proper process was followed in executing the procurement?
you mean
Because if it is below threshold, they can take care of that.
yes, and when it is not submitted to the office.
Yes, at
So-
their level.
So it means we can only discover that when we go on.
That is post. You can only
Post.
discover the yes.
Yes.
Yes. And in an instance where you have discovered that at the post-review period, you've discovered that anomalies were made, how do you reverse or how do you correct those things?
Yeah.
Because if not, it will be a process of you letting go some wrongs that have been done. Because there are some certain circumstances where you cannot undo what has been done.
Yes. Because
Right?
the process has already ended.
Yes.
Yes. So during the post-review, when these discoveries are made, the anomalies, those are the ones that culminated to this compliance review report you saw here. So normally we generate the reports and indicate the anomalies and make recommendations. And thereafter, the reports are sent to the relevant authorities.
But you have never made use of Section 67 of your Act, have you?
The punitive clauses,
Section 67 of your Act.
I cannot remember applying that. We cannot remember applying that.
Huh?
We cannot remember applying that section.
So why didn't you use Section 67 after your post-review, when you have realized that there are so many anomalies and so many irregularities and fraudulent activities?
Yeah, we normally make recommendations.
But Section 67 gives you powers to do certain things.
Yes, I understand. But I just want to tell you what is existing. Yes, we normally make recommendations, and action officers, those on the field, no, they are not prevented from recommending or applying any of the section as a recommendation. And these things are sent to the relevant authorities.
But you, as an authority, have powers to do certain things as provided for by law. But you were not doing it.
No, the powers, I am not aware of powers of
Go to Section 67.
On the contract administration.
Investigation of procurement proceedings.
67.
Yes, of 2014.
2014.
It's replicated in 84 of 2022.
84, okay. I have the 2022. Yes, investigations of procurement proceedings. Yes.
What does it say? Sub 1?
Sub 1, a law enforcement agency may, at the request of the authority, conduct an investigation into any matter related to the conduct of procurement proceedings by a procuring organization, or the conclusion or operation of a procurement where an investigation is necessary or desirable to prevent or detect a contravention of this act. The investigation may subject to subsection 3.
So you can see that you have powers.
Yes.
Where even you suspect.
Yes.
So you have never made use of that.
If you could remember, there was a particular instance, I think my DG made reference to that.
That is one out of 1,000 of procurement activities
yes, I understand.
that you conduct.
Yes, I understand. So apart from that reference, I cannot remember any.
All right. Council, you may proceed. Sorry, Council, before the issue of the tax, if you note on the notes, you could see that paragraph B has explicitly provided that all the transactions, they should include applicable taxes, delivery charges, discount charges, etc. So these are your forms. And
is the reference from 4101 or?
yes,
Okay.
as in it's in all your forms.
Yes.
It's all these notes are contained in all your forms.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So which means it is saying that whatever is brought to you, you must ask these questions, whether this is provide for, and that is why it is provided for in your forms. Is that not correct?
Yes, that's
Is it
correct.
not your duty to find out whether this, because it is very explicit here as provided for.
Yes.
It says final unit prices, which includes all. Did you see that?
Yes.
So on the issues of tax and charges, discounts, and everything, this is why I asked the question yesterday about the discounts after the negotiation on the dustbins, because everything is contained in your forms,
Yes.
and this should be disclosed.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, you may proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Timber, the Form 101, it should be sent to all the bidders that are requested to provide quotations, right?
Yes, Council.
And the minimum for request for quotation is 3 bidders?
Yes, Council.
Okay, so this is the only form that's contained in the file? The only 101?
Yeah, that's the only form here.
Okay. Now, I refer you to the Bassa Area Council Contracts Committee meeting minutes dated 16th October 2020.
October, yes, I've seen
16 October 2020. Okay,
Yes.
so they're saying that they met to discuss the ways and means to purchase a vehicle for the council, despite the fact ones we had are all scrap vehicles, and as a result, for the council to go for trekking and the movement of the chief executive officer. Likewise, the entire staff are all due to difficulties. I'm not sure about that grammar, but they're essentially saying that the vehicles that they have are scrap and they can't
Yes.
go on treks, etc. They have said that in spite of purchasing a vehicle for the council due to the financial muscles of the management of Bassa Area Council cannot able to purchase a new vehicle, but has seen a second-hand recondition in which it ran for 85,000 kilometers, and for its time of purchase is less than a year, and is also taken to a mechanic at CFAO Company Limited to see, examine, and monitor, and produce a report, and the report is attached. The procurement officer also made remarks and gave 7 different types of procurement and mentioned that the best type of procuring a vehicle is restricted tender, but due to one reason or the other, the management did not have sufficient funds to purchase new ones. The cost of the vehicle will be stipulated in Form 100 and so on, and the method of procurement is single source procurement. Now, I don't know, are you able to tell what they've decided, essentially, what the contracts committee has decided they should, what method they've decided to use to purchase the vehicle?
If you check the submissions here, there is no reporting form for single source. That's the 003. Normally, if you conduct single source above the threshold, we expect that you fill the 003. That is not here.
Okay, so let me, before you even go on, so you're saying, what they're saying is that the method of procurement should be single source, which is what's on the last line of that page.
That's what they have said.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're now saying that there's no form 003,
03.
and it's required if it's a single sourcing.
If it is single sourcing.
Okay.
Yeah. However, the Form 101, the request for quotation, normally it is used for that method, request for quotation method, where you solicit at least 3 quotations. But despite that fact, it is still in line to use that Form 101 to communicate to your supplier, because this is the only form we have at now that you can use to communicate to the supplier. So it means even you are going in for single source, there is no harm. We don't really have any objection to using the Form 101 to communicate to a particular supplier because of the fact that you are going in for single source. I'm not justifying the single source, but I'm just trying to tell you that is the reason.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, thank
so
you.
my difficulty now is, if you have a form for single sourcing,
Yes.
it has specific things that are in the form, which I'm assuming would comply with what's in your act and what's in your regulation.
Yes.
You have a form for request for quotation.
Yes.
Same thing. For open tendering, for restricted tendering. Now, when you start saying there's a form for single sourcing, but it's okay for you to use request for quotation form, is that not you starting the problem?
Okay.
Because we're looking at it and we're wondering, okay, they said in their statement, in their contracts committee meeting minutes, that it's single sourcing. Then they use a request for quotation form. You would assume that, okay, it's request for quotation because they've used this form, all right? Now you're saying that it's okay, you can use a request for quotation form for a single sourcing procurement.
Let me just clarify so that you understand. The reporting form for single source, the reporting form for single source is 003. The reporting form for request for quotation is 004.
Okay.
Not this one. This is not a reporting form for request for quotation.
Okay.
This one, the purpose of this one is to request for quotation. You can request for quotation from 3 individuals, but you can also request for quotation from an individual. It's still request for quotation. Let's understand it from the ordinary literal meaning.
So I understand that part. Do you have a form to request for single sourcing, or you only have a reporting form?
Yes, only a reporting form, because there is no form to request for quotation for a single thing. So that's why most institutions use this for that purpose. Yeah, that's the only reason. So, but not trying to. That's the only purpose.
So would you say that if you're looking to single source, you don't even need a request for quotation, you can just write to them and ask them to give you a quotation?
That right in the communication, that's the purpose of this. So that's
Yes. So assuming for another procurement, you don't use the request for quotation form. You can just write to them to ask them to provide a quotation.
Yes, just write, state your requirement, and ask them to provide the quotation.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I
perfect.
understand that.
Yeah.
Thank you. So let me refer you to. So there's an invoice.
Yes,
from.
before you
sorry.
proceed. On the same letter, we could see in the minutes that I believe you had a representation at the meeting of the 16th of October, because it indicated that the procurement officer did not hesitate to mention the best method of procuring a vehicle, which is restricted tender.
Yes.
So, but the procurement officer advised that they should use restricted tender, but they opted for single sourcing.
Single source, yes.
So, in this instance, do you think the single sourcing method that they use, was it the correct method they should have used in this circumstance?
No, ma.
Thank you. What method should they have used, given the nature of the product that they are looking for?
Yeah, I concur with the advice from the procurement officer, the restricted tender. Yeah, because in this instance, they said it's second-hand vehicle. So going in for restricted tender could have solved the problem. But the general rule is open tender.
For me, why restricted tender? Why not open tender? Given the fact that here, assuming that, there could be so many people that could be interested in bidding for this kind of activity.
Yes. No doubt, open tender is the best method, and no one can argue with that.
Yes.
Yes.
But it seems it is the authority that is always advising that they use restricted tender. And is this not depriving you finances? Because if you if you do open bidding, you have 60%.
Yes.
60% of the bid price is paid to you.
Yes, the finances are important here, but to me what is more important is the transparency bit. That's why open tender is always the best, and I really don't want to even argue about that. It's open tender is the best.
Thank you. Yes, Council, you may proceed.
Thank you. Now, there's an invoice from 1 Euro Krubeli, a car dealer, for one Toyota pickup vehicle, registration number BJL5666Q, and the unit price is $850,000.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Yes, I have seen that lead council.
Okay. So the invoice is dated 17th of
October
2020.
Yes.
It's provided the day after they've done the meeting, the contracts committee meeting,
Yes.
and sent to. Now, there's also an attestation dated 10th November 2020. At the bottom is signed by one Mohammed Simaka
Yes.
and Mr. Yoro Krubeli.
Yes.
And it says, I, Mohammed Simaka, of a Gambian residence in Gambisara village, hereby attest that the Toyota pickup vehicle with registration number BJL5666Q belongs to me, and I have decided without any condition attached to sell the said vehicle to the management of Basse Area Council without making any profit. The said vehicle is my property, and I have been letting it to the said council management for some time, and finally decided with any external or internal pressure on me. The decision is in a bid to contribute my quota in the national development without making any profit. Hence, I'm selling it for $850,000 only. I look forward to your cooperation and understand to enable the said management to produce the said vehicle through procure the said vehicle through legal procedures. So, from this document, it's clear that the vehicle had been lent to the area council
for some time.
Yes. And it makes it look like the intention of the council was not to, have options to purchase, but they wanted to purchase this particular vehicle.
Obviously.
And is this not something that your authority would flag when the request comes to you? I mean, you've just said that the purpose of the open tendering is so that you get value for money. And I think it's a known fact that there are various car dealers with second-hand cars. So if this was open, there would have been a lot of options.
Yeah, the best option.
Now, is there any issue, do you think that there's any issue of conflict in this particular procurement?
Yeah, from the attestation, it means there was a business relationship that existed between this Mohammed and the Basse Area Council. So during that, though in procurement we have what we call the right relationship, like it's good to have the right relationship. So I'm not sure what was the relationship, but there is a business relationship. So that must have culminated to proposal and counter proposal for the procurement of these things, and potentially there could be conflict of interest.
So your determination usually, I mean, it would be based on all the documents that are sent to you by the council.
Yes.
Now, if they wanted to procure that particular vehicle, they would have said that, well, one would assume they would have said that they want to purchase it because they've been using it, etc., and it's, they found that it works well, it's convenient, whatever, and for this reason, blah, blah, blah. And as long as it follows the provisions of the Act.
Yes.
But here they made it look like they've just come across this vehicle, that they've done a test, which the report from CFAO is not contained in the file. Can you confirm?
Yes, lead counsel, it is not here.
Okay, so when they wrote to you, they wrote on 8th of December 2020, and they said expression of interest to purchase a Toyota pickup vehicle with registration number BJL5666Q. With reference to the above caption, the management of Basse Area Council hereby expressed their interest to purchase the Toyota pickup vehicle. This intention of the management of Basse Area Council came amidst difficulties faced by the said council in terms of mobility. It is evident in our records that the cost of maintenance of our current vehicles is very high, owing to the fact that those vehicles are very old and almost out of use or not roadworthy, thereby causing lots of inconveniences. And as a result, the management of Basse Area Council has no option but to look for a brand new vehicle that will be able to run our errands. However, while the management of Basse Area Council is trying to look for a brand new vehicle, we came across one that is almost next to brand new vehicle with a mileage covering only 85,000 kilometers. In order to confirm the conditions of the said vehicle, the management sent the vehicle to CFAO Company Limited for testing, and the results has proven that the vehicle is roadworthy and can serve its purpose. The management of Basse Area Council deems it necessary to follow the due process in doing so. The Contracts Committee met over the results from CFAO and also held prior meetings concerning the said vehicle, and the minutes of the meetings are attached.
Yes, Council.
As required by the GPPA Act, all procurement of goods and services should follow the due process, and they're ready to meet the authorities of GPPA for further discussions on the said matter, and are committed to adherence of the rule of law and natural justice. Now, your authority wrote back on the 10th of December 2020 and said, having reviewed your submission and given due consideration to your requests and the recommendation made by the members of your contracts committee at their meeting held 16th October 2020, I hereby convey to you the authority's approval based on section 44 of the Act and the justification provided in GPPA form 003 to single source the procurement of Toyota pickup to your Kurbeli car dealer for the amount of $850,000. Now, you already established that there's no form 003.
Yeah, it is not found here.
And we had noted that nobody signed for the contracts committee to show that there's no conflict. And we've seen that this is a vehicle that the council was using, and they had dealings with the person who owned it.
Yes, Council.
So you don't know if there's any conflict, but it looks like
The possibility.
yes. Is there a reason why the authority would not pick these things up and flag?
Okay, lead counsel, the anomalies highlighted are very obvious. They are very obvious. Do you see the comment from the minute from the DG?
It says, please convey approval.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yes.
So
So I'm sure the action officer must have acted on that.
who's the action officer? There are two, is it?
So I'm sure the authority must have acted on this.
Sorry, so there's
Is it
MCPP.
not Jata that acted on this?
Yes, Buba Jata, yes.
So Buba Jata would have advised the Director General that it is okay to grant approval. Is that what it means?
No, like this is just an instruction from the DG, and the instruction is very precise.
No, that is not the question that council asked, Mr. Tamura.
Maybe, okay, so I didn't get it.
Yes,
So,
can you please repeat
I
the
think she
question?
highlighted that somebody Jata signed and you said Buba Jata as action officer.
Yes.
So I'm saying, would it be that Buba Jata went through the file and advised the Director General that it is okay to be approved, or the Director General himself would have gone through the file and seen that it is okay for approval and then minuted it to the person who should action it?
Yeah. The file here was seen by the Director General, minuted before Buba Jata sees the file.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Director General,
In other words, he received it with these minutes.
so Director General would have, determined that it should be approved.
Yeah.
And then he minuted it to Buba Jata to convey that approval.
Approval through the directors.
Through the what?
normally, when minuting to the action officers, you can minute through the directors, you can also minute directly.
So where the Director General has said, please convey approval, and you think that this is not a file that approval should be granted, what do you do?
Most of the time, sometimes we have these tete-a-tete discussions. These are internal things. You have tete-a-tete discussion with the Director General in his office, or at our level, discuss. So if you feel there are issues, you highlight the issues, and then you listen to the Director General finally. But as an action officer, as a technician, as a director, we normally give our best opinion as far as we are concerned. But finally, the decision comes from the Director General.
So in this case, would you say that there was no tete-a-tete?
I personally, I cannot remember, but it's very possible the action officer had that discussion with the Director General. But one thing which is certain is the instruction came from the Director General before it was seen by the action officers.
Yes, because the Director General signed on the 8th of December, and the action officer signed on the 9th of December.
10th.
Yeah, I see 9th.
Something like
At the bottom, Jata. And the one on the top as well, I see a 9th. On the routing slip?
No, I'm talking about the letter.
No. The letter was sent out, was dated the 10th, but I'm talking about the routing slip where the minutes from the director is contained. The director said, please convey approval, signed on the 8th of December 2020.
Yes.
Jata signed on the 9th of December 2020, and whoever MCPP is at the top signed on the 9th of December 2020.
Yeah. But the letter was generated on the 10th.
Yes.
So let me ask, Mr. Tamura, normally, based on the explanation you have given earlier, that this routine slip is the initial step, and there is a second step where the technicians will do their review and convey their observations, their observations and recommendation to the Director General. So do we agree that the Director General may be a technician, but he does not review the files seriatim, that is, each time the file comes, he reviews it to see that what needs to be complied with has been complied with. That is left for the directors and the technicians, you understand, in the various departments. Is that not how it works?
Internally, the directors we have on the ground.
No, I'm just asking whether it is not the technicians, you understand, the directors and the staff that review files when they come, and they make their observations and or recommendation to the head of the department, and who sends the file to the Director General after reviewing the technician's observation or recommendation. Is that not how it works, or you have a different setup?
Yes, but I can just explain further. Like the Director General.
No, but I want to know whether, if that is not how it works, you tell me that is not how it works. We have a different setup so that we can understand. Because if we cannot see evidence of where you as a technician or an action officer writing to say, this is my observation on this file. Because if you note in the file, officers convey the approval of the Director General.
Yes.
But in doing so, they look at what is missing in certain files and convey them.
Yes.
So I want to know whether it is the Director General that looks at the files, sees the missing issues, or sees the compliance or non-compliance of the POs, and then write back to the technician to say, okay, convey this information. So that is what I want to know. Does it start from the officers going up, or does it start from up going down?
It starts from the Director General and ends up with the officers, then back to the Director General. And they normally review the files because most of the time they make their own observations. But however, when it comes to the technicians also make a thorough review of the file, make observations. And these observations are always discussed with the Director General
Yes,
or the
Mr.
senior management?
Yes, Mr. Tamura, I understand because when letters are written to the Director General. So the Director General receives the file
Yes.
and minutes it to the Director concerned, who again minutes it to the concerned officer
Exactly.
for the person to do his job.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So that is the bottom-up approach because this, everybody knows that if you write to an institution, you write to the head of the institution.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So it is it comes from up, it comes from down, going up when it comes to the actual issues on the procurement process.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You know, when it comes to the Director General, what obtains before and now, the Director General himself reviews the files. Most of the time, he reviews the files. Sometimes he makes comments, observations.
Before it is sent to the technician?
Yes, sometimes. If you check some of the files, I'm talking generally, whether the council and the like, sometimes he makes comments and observations about his findings. But sometimes he just minutes it directly, without any comment and observations. However, if the file is treated and it goes back to the Director General, that is a second chance for the Director General. It's a second chance for the Director General to compare the observations of the action officers vis-a-vis the TR files. So this thing, because
okay, let me take you to the procurement of the dustbins.
okay.
The routing slip, which is dated the 20th of February 2019, where the Director, yes, I think it's the Director General, that says, I recall DCC challenging the bidding conditions. Kindly look. What does that mean? Which means the DCC looked at it and recommended to the Director General that the bidding conditions were not right, and he has asked that this be looked at again. Is that not what this is trying to say?
Yes. But okay, exactly, that's that.
Yes.
Just
So we will be correct to say that for the Director General to give approval, he has to have the observations and or recommendation of the technicians.
yes.
Thank you.
And
Council, you may proceed.
Assistant, oh sorry.
Sorry, in the letter that is dated 10th of December, reference is made to section 44C. 44C. Is that correct? Please look at 44C. Assistant Registrar, can you give this to
of the old act.
Please check 44C, sorry, as provided for in this letter. You see 44C?
Yes.
Can you read what 44C is saying?
Where 44C, where there is an emergency need for the goods, works, consultancy services or services involving imminent threat to physical safety of the population or damage to property, or in the case of either unforeseeable urgent circumstances not due to the dilatory conduct of the procuring organization, and engaging in tendering proceedings or other procurement methods would therefore be impractical.
Is that correct? Is that the situation with this, the purchase of this second-hand vehicle?
Quite different.
Huh?
Quite different.
Thank you. Let me have the document. You may proceed.
Thank you. Okay. Assistant Registrar, please hand This file, this is Bassa Area Council GPPA file 1 of 21, and hand me back the other file, please. Yes, yes, unless the commissioners have questions.
Yes. Do you have any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
They have no questions.
Thank you. Mr. Tambura, I'll refer you to, thank you, Form 100. Which is the procurement requisition form.
Yes, lead counsel.
Okay. So the procuring organization is Bassa Area Council. Now they haven't checked where it says please procure the following goods, works, or services. This is not checked. But the item description, there are 6 items, I believe. Of 5 items. And it says procurement of concrete road, feeder roads, and 3 bridges, culvert. The projects are as follows. 1, construction of the Bajakunda Bridge. The estimated unit cost is $2,695,601.20 bututs. The second project is the construction of the Sambalolo Bridge or culvert, and the estimated cost is $4 million. The third item is the construction of Songkunda Bridge culvert, and the estimated cost is $4 million as well. The fourth item is feeder road at Sarabojo and Saremansong, and the estimated amount is $3,687,443.20 bututs. And the fifth item is the concrete road at Manekunda, and the estimated cost is $18,582,351.20 bututs. Now here as well, they have not confirmed the availability of funds. Is that right?
Yes, counsel.
And the total cost of the 5 projects is estimated at $32,965,395.60 bututs.
Yes, counsel.
It's been signed by Mohamed Jaune, the procurement officer, Lamin Suso, the director of finance, and Usman Toure, the CEO.
Yes, counsel.
Okay, so I refer you to the form 012 as well. Have you found it?
Yes, I've seen it, counsel.
Okay, so it is signed by Usman Toure, the CEO, Lamin Suso, Director of Finance, Mohamed Jaune, Procurement Officer, Yaya TB Sise, Planner, Engineer, and there's a consultant named there but not signed. You have said that having all of the signatures on this page is sufficient.
Yeah, normally we don't have any objection to that.
Pardon?
We don't have any objection.
You don't have any objection to that? Okay,
Yes.
that's fine. So they sent a letter to your office dated the 15th of March, 2021. been flagged, so if you just look at the flags, it would be towards the back of the file.
The construction of concrete roads.
No, 15th March 2021, requesting for an approval.
This is 18 June. I'm not sure the letter is here.
Pardon?
15 March. Yes, I have seen it, Council.
Okay. Now, this is a letter where they're requesting approval from your office to enable them to proceed with their project.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yes, Council.
And what is the method that they've said that they would be using?
According to the letter, it's open tendering.
Okay. And then your authority wrote back on the 19th April 2021.
Yes, Council.
You have referred to their letter dated 1st April 2021, but there's no letter dated 1st April 2021 in the file. Can you confirm? I'll just read out. You said that we refer to your letter dated 1st April 2021 relative to the above subject matter, which refers, following detailed review of your bidding document for the construction of Bajakunda Road, Sambalolo Bridge, Songkunda Bridge, Starimansong, Staribojo Feeder Road, Manekunda, Basse Road, the authority hereby grants approval of the said bidding documents, intended procurement method, which is open tender. Below are the divisible lots as indicated in the bidding document. Lot 1, Bajakunda Road. Lot 2, Sambalolo Bridge. Lot 3, Songkunda Bridge. Lot 4, Sarimansong, Saribojo Feeder Road. Lot 5, Manekunda, Basse Road. You're also reminded to pay 60% of the fees from the sale of bidding documents to GPPA when submitting your evaluation report. Did you see the letter dated 1st April?
No, I have not seen it here.
And there's also no bidding documents in the file, unless I'm mistaken.
No bidding document here, Council.
But your letter dated 19th April refers to bidding documents. Can you confirm from your office what was sent, whether there was a letter dated 1st April that had bidding documents as well?
Okay.
Thank you. I refer you to the form 001.
Zero 001, okay.
Yes.
Yes, Council.
Okay, so they have not indicated whether the procurement will be subject to international competitive tendering. But they have said that there will be pre-qualification. A3 is a pre-qualification.
A3.
A3.
Yes.
A2 is, will the procurement be subject to international competitive tendering? They haven't ticked anything.
Yes.
Now, A3, it says, will the procurement be subject to a pre-qualification procedure? Excuse me, and they've checked yes. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, how would the pre-qualification work for the open tendering method?
Like the forms are generic here, but normally if you want to have pre-qualification within an open tendering, then it means after floating the open tendering, you must have indicated your requirements in the open tendering. That though this is an open tendering procurement procedure, however, to participate, these are the minimum requirements. So it means automatically, those that meet the minimum requirements are pre-qualified. So that's the only.
And this would be indicated where in the bidding documents? Or in the publication?
In the publication, yeah.
Okay.
But if the pre-qualification requirements are too huge, you can always ask them to inspect the bidding document to see the requirements.
If the pre-qualification, what, sorry?
You know, sometimes if the pre-qualification requirements are many, you may not be able to publicize all of them. So it means in the publication, you can always ask the potential bidders to check in the bidding document to inspect the bidding documents to see the pre-qualification requirements.
Okay. Now, I refer you to Bessa Area Council letter. Actually, let me just.
Sorry, Council, before you proceed on that, the tendering public notice, which is attached on the documents, which is the pre-qualification that was done. Yeah. Because you've just told us that during the pre-qualification, some of the requirements can be published, can be put on the public notice.
Yes.
If there are not too many.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So you take a look at that one and tell us, it's the one that has a date handwritten, 1st of March 2021, and there were handwritten information on lot 4, where they put a hyphen, then they put 1.4 kilometers. Lot 5, they put concrete road, 1.6 kilometers. And they also scratched out the 500,000 and put 5,000. We don't know whether it's dollars or dollars. Which says it's a non-refundable, not later than 10th March 2021. Did you see that?
Yes, I've seen the notice.
Yes. So what can you tell us about this notice? Given the sums of money involved in the execution of this project.
The notice is expected to be published on especially on the print media of wider circulation. However, the writings here, both printed and handwriting, these are problems because I don't expect this to reflect on a published newspaper. But there are no detailed requirements. So you will see the instruction here that those who are interested may contact the office for inspection of the bidding document to see the minimum requirement to participate.
But do you see any document showing a contrary public notice except for this one that you have seen?
There is none in this file.
So is this what is required for a PO institution to send something like this?
They should send a published notice in a newspaper.
Yes. And what about the amendments that are handwritten without indicating any signature?
Counter signature.
Yes, counter signature to show that it is emanating from them.
This is wrong.
It's wrong.
Wrong, yes.
Council.
Thank you. I refer you to a document. The heading is the minutes of the bidding opening in Bassa Area Council. There's no date, so it's difficult to. But the heading is the minutes of the bidding opening in Bassa Area Council.
Can we be as to which one, because you have one?
Yes, I have seen it, Council.
It's
There
one
is-
that has a table in front.
What, table in
Actually,
front
they
or-
all have table in front, but the heading is the minutes of the bidding document. Oh, sorry, of the bidding opening in Bassa Area Council.
which has a table with the signatures of Usman
And-
Ture, Lamin Suso.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So, Mr. Tambura, they have said that this is a contracts committee meeting. I mean, the meeting minutes are undated, so we can't tell when it was held, but they're saying that the contracts committee of Bassa Area Council and other stakeholders, including the contractors or bidders, to witness the important historic moment of the opening of the bids in the chairman's office. They said that programs were duly observed. They've said a lot. Says, meanwhile, the remarks are also highlighted by the procurement officer who guide the bidding process, and also highlighted the public procurement principles will duly observe, and the bid that has submitted by the bidder from various institutions will be open in a session to the public by Yaya TBCC, and bid price will be announced by the procurement officer and the names and address of each bidder. Therefore, after all has been highlighted, the closing remarks is made by the Director of Finance to also thank the bidders for applying the tendering, and also highlighted the key important statements about the project. The list of the contracts committee is as follows, and it's Usman Ture, Lamin Suso, Mohamed Jaune as the procurement officer, Yaya TBCC planner, Fode Danjo chairman, Yuba Jawara vice chairman. Now, are you able to tell from this minutes whether the bids were actually opened? Because it looks like they just received the bids and that they would open them at a public session.
Yeah, from the minutes here, there is no evidence, concrete evidence that, because minutes of bid opening should at least capture two basic things, the participating bidder and the bid price. So these two basic requirements for bid are really absent here.
Also, there's no representative from GPPA at the bid opening, which is something that we've seen that you've always provided a representative as an observer for KMC in their bid openings. I believe Mr. Sanya has said that you get that even when they don't invite you, excuse me, you would attend as observers at the bid openings. So can you tell us why you don't have a representative present, especially considering the volume and the cost of the procurement?
Yes, during bid opening, normally we endeavor to attend bid openings, but practically sometimes it's very difficult for us to attend all bid openings. Here, probably.
Sorry. Let us kindly look at the third paragraph.
Third paragraph, yes.
Yes. Which says, meanwhile, the remarks are also highlighted by the procurement officer who guide the bidding process, and also highlighted the public procurement principle will duly observe, and the bid that has submitted by the bidder from various institutions will be open. I'm reading verbatim.
Yes, yes.
What is in the letter. I'm not amending anything.
Mm-hmm.
Will be open in a session to the public by Yaya Council, I believe that there was a procurement officer. But
So I believe that's the procurement officer of the procuring organization, not GPPA representative.
representative. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That clarification is noted.
So,
I
like
was-
with KMC, they would put the people in attendance and they would say GPPA representative. Because each of the procuring organizations needs to have a procuring officer. And if you check the requisition forms, the procurement officer usually signs, so you know that it's
Okay.
from their office.
Okay.
So, Mr. Tambur, you were explaining why
Yes,
your office didn't attend?
Yes. Normally, as my colleague rightly said the other time, like we can always attend bid openings with or without invitation, just as observers. Most of the time, we rely on invitations because of our schedules. However, with this particular one, I cannot say for sure why we did not attend, but from the submission here, you cannot see any invitation. And also, the bid opening dates are mostly captured in the bidding document. The bid opening dates are mostly captured in the bidding document. And we have concluded that there is no bidding document.
So we have concluded that you're going to check with your office that there's no bidding documents because you've referred in your letter specifically that you approve of the bidding documents
yes.
and the method.
Yeah, I've just
And
got that here.
so far we've seen that it's only Banjul that actually sends you an invitation. KMC, in all the files, and we've looked at over 10 of them, there's been no invitation to your office to attend, but you have attended every single bid opening for the files that we've gone through.
Yes.
Right. So in this case, we've done one Basse before and then this one. So
that's why I just said I'm not sure exactly why we did not attend, but we can always attend with or without invitation.
you can always what, sir?
Attend bid openings with or without invitation, but sometimes our schedules determines.
So your schedule is more favorable to KMC.
Not actually. Probably because of the proximity also counts.
Okay.
Pardon? I did not hear. You said
No.
what counts?
Maybe the proximity could be a contributing factor. You know, like going to Basse for bid opening, very significant, very important.
But you are regulatory. In fact, that statement, is it provided for in your regulations or in your act? For you to attend?
Yes, it's in the regulations.
Is it
As observers, yes.
Yes. What section?
I can always confirm that, but that one I can vividly
Yes,
remember.
when we come back, lunch break, please provide that. So that we confirm whether it's optional or without invitation. Yes? Answer.
All right, thanks.
Maybe that should be the last question. We can go in for break.
Okay, that's fine. Great. May I be guided? Are you saying I should ask the last question or we should go on break?
No, you asked the last
I'll ask the last question, all right. So, Mr. Tambur, there's a letter, or rather there's an evaluation report from Basse Area Council, and it has a handwritten date on the front of it, 29th September 2021. I've seen that there's a stamp from your office showing that it was received.
The stamp did not contain a date.
No, the date is not clear. I don't know whether it's the copying or it's just not there. But there's a big handwriting on the front saying 29 September 2021. Should be towards the front of the file.
Okay, 29 September, I've seen it.
Okay. Actually, Chairperson, I think it would be difficult because I want to refer to, there are some evaluation tables, and I would like to reference them to this letter. So maybe we can take a break now and then give him a chance to go through them.
Okay. You could please go through this because it's detailed and it has all the participants.
I think it's too low. Yeah.
Yes, Chair.
Are you okay?
Yes, Chair.
What I'm saying is that the letter dated the 29th of September has all the participants in this. So kindly check to allow us gain time whether all of these participants that are listed on the second page of this letter that we are going to consider when we come back after lunch break, whether they have submitted their tender documents. And please cross-check because we did not find all of these participants, their tender documents, in the file from your office.
Okay, Chair.
Yeah, thank you. We may rise now.